This is verse 27 of the 5th chapter of the Gospel of John. Jesus is making increasingly astonishing claims concerning himself. He said that unless a person honors the Son in the same way they honor the Father, that they don't have the Father or the Son, which is tantamount to requiring worship of the Son, of course, which is what Orthodox Christianity has always affirmed it to mean. He also indicates that as the Father has intrinsic life, he doesn't gain life from some other source. He doesn't have to nourish that life. The life is just fixed within him as a ongoing eternal reality. So in some way or other, that same capacity is vested in the Son. And so we have in this great eternal Trinitarian relationship that the Father and the Son share this kind of power. And of course, by inference from elsewhere in the New Testament, we infer that the Holy Spirit would have the same power as well. The life-giving Spirit is the way it's sometimes conceived of, though that particular aspect of Trinitarian theology is not mentioned directly here. When we come to verse 27, we reach in some ways the culminating declaration of what Jesus is saying as he reaches this statement, kai and exousion. This is from the word ekousia. Ek means out of. Ousia, of course, is the participle verb of being, taken from the word eimi. So literally it means out of being, suggesting out of weight, out of substance, out of stuff, and it's the common word used, of course, in the New Testament for authority. So authority, edoken, this is the third person singular aorist, active indicative of didomi. It means to give. The aorist here is, therefore, it's saying he gave authority, and he gave authority auto to him, dative, masculine, singular. Chrisen, this is the word krisis, which means judgment. We've seen it before. Our English word crisis comes from this. The idea of judgment, therefore, a crisis, of course. Poiein, the infinitive, present infinitive, from poieo, to make or to do. And thus, the Father has given authority to him, that is, to the Son, to Jesus, to make or to do justice or judgment, hoti. Conjunction can mean that or because. And here, of course, this word is going to have more the idea of because. Huios, son, anthropou, man, estin, he is. This is an interesting statement because son of man he is. Some commentators simply take the view that Jesus has essentially affirmed here both his deity in preceding statements and now affirming as well his humanity here, which makes Jesus the perfect person to conduct judgment. He has the inherent righteousness of God, and yet at the same time, being a human being, gives him the ability to understand perfectly the human situation. And I think there's certainly some element of that must be understood as part of what's being said. However, the formula, the way that it's being stated here, also suggests that this may be an inference, a reference to, an allusion to Daniel chapter 7, verse 13 and following, in which we have reference to this character in the Old Testament known as the Son of Man, who is, of course, one who comes expressly as a judge. That's the principal way in which the description is applied. And certainly the idea of a son of man was commonly understood in the first century, and that reference to Daniel would have been immediately recognized. And so it also fits with that particular interpretive scheme that authority has been given to the Son precisely because this Son is the Son of Man. Somebody might look at this and say, well, where's the definite article? It doesn't say the Son of Man. It could be simply rendered a Son of Man. But idiomatically in the New Testament, when the verb of being comes after a reference like this, then there is by inference the presence of the definite article. It's a somewhat technical point, but it's been documented fairly completely and exhaustively, such that it's safe to say that that is therefore perfectly legitimate to infer into this statement that we could indeed translate it because he is the Son of Man, and that, of course, would then even more strongly suggest a connection to the Daniel 7:13 reference.